WNBA Finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. You know, I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, you know, it's obviously...
The WNBA hierarchy was most afraid of this moment. The calm part was just said aloud by Stephen A. Smith. These days, Caitlin Clark does more than simply play basketball. She is totally changing the landscape of women's sports, and it appears that she has had enough of being polite to a league that hasn't protected her. There are whispers and reports that the discussions for a new collective bargaining agreement would be bloody. And the explanation is straightforward. Every single card is in Clark's possession. The commissioner is in a panic. The veterans are furious. The WNBA may have just realized they've gone too far with their golden goose, according to the strongest voice in sports media. However, if you believe that this is only about you are overlooking a far more costly and darker image, a paycheck, leverage, respect, and a possible exodus that might drive the league to its knees are at issue here. We need to look at the sequence of events that culminated in this breaking point in order to fully comprehend why Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is allegedly in a state of shock. Recently, the WNBA Players Union made the decision to leave their current labor agreement, a decision that completely destroys the league's future. Although this is officially a union decision, everyone is aware of the true reason behind it. Recently, the league signed a media rights agreement worth more than $2 billion. A ridiculous quantity prior to Clark donning a jersey. She increased viewing by 3 times on her own. There is no denying the leverage in this situation. Clark generates the relevancy, but the league generates the revenue. The entire house of cards begins to wobble if she decides she doesn't like the terms of the new deal. The elephant in the room that Stephen A. Smith has been yelling about for months needs to be addressed before we go into the numbers. The greatest danger. This is no longer merely a rumor. The WNBA is facing a serious, multi-million-dollar reality. Stars Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier launched a new 3-on-3 competition called Unrivaled, because it was intended to retain players in the United States during the off-season. However, there has been a lot of conjecture that this new league is putting together an offer for Clark that would include stock ownership holdings in addition to a salary, possibly matching the kind of contract Lionel Messi had in Miami. This provides Clark the most powerful weapon, the capacity to refuse. She doesn't have to play for peanuts during the WNBA off-season or grind in Europe. According to Stephen A. Smith, this choice effectively puts the WNBA in danger. She has a multi-million-dollar parachute waiting for her somewhere else if they don't offer a CBA that accurately represents her worth. The negotiation table is entirely altered by the presence of Unrivaled. In the past, WNBA players who wanted to earn real money had to travel to Turkey or Russia. That grind is hazardous and taxing. There is now a home alternative that offers greater compensation, fewer games, and less physical strain. This appeals to a guy like Clark, who plays a high-minute, high-intensity style. The WNBA is foolish if they believe they can keep her satisfied by giving her a small salary. The realization that the commissioner's office no longer has a monopoly on professional American women's basketball. Their biggest celebrity is being courted by their rivals with open arms and checkbooks. Stephen A. Smith hasn't held back when it comes to criticizing the WNBA administration for what he describes as a disastrous squandering of a generational talent. He contends that during Clark's rookie season, the league and Commissioner Cathy Engelbert fostered a narrative of physical targeting and jealousy. Rather than promoting her like the NBA did with Michael Jordan or Larry Bird, they allowed her to be pursued. What many fans were speculating about was confirmed by SAS. A rift has been caused by the league's inability to safeguard its most valuable asset. It's time to bargain now. Why would Clark perform any favors for a hierarchy that left her hanging? This story of jealousy is not merely a creation of the media. It has been shown live on national television. We must examine the particular circumstances that most likely contributed to Clark's unwillingness to accept the current situation. We all witnessed the body checks by players like Kennedy Carter, the harsh fouls, and the passive-aggressive remarks made by luminaries like Cheryl Swoops. The rookie has been the target of a clear, "you can't sit with us" attitude. During these CBA negotiations, the commissioner has a significant challenge due to this animosity. If your co-workers target you while the referees ignore your complaints, That is a good deal regardless of the amount of money. Better travel, increased security, and a league culture that genuinely cherishes its stars rather than attempting to extinguish their shine are all anticipated to be among the new demands. Let's examine the figures that have everyone in a frenzy. In comparison to the money she made by packing previously empty arenas and selling out products in a matter of minutes, Clark's rookie contract was only $76,000. That figure is practically illegal. It's offensive. To put that in context, the WNBA finally started using charter aircraft this season, primarily due to the security concerns raised by Clark's notoriety. Teams were flying commercial aircraft prior to her. The only reason league is modernizing is because she made them. According to the reports going around, Clark's team is fully aware that she is being underpaid by a significant amount. It is not greed to reject the existing quo. It's business. The players have little influence in the WNBA's business model. But when Clark was drafted, that era came to an end. She is seeing pennies while making millions. And that math is going to undergo a drastic shift. When you consider the Caitlin Clark effect on the entire sports environment, the cash disparity is astounding. For the Indiana Fever, it goes beyond ticket sales. It has to do with the rival teams. When instead of traveling to Washington or Atlanta to play, those clubs relocate their games to bigger NBA arenas in order to handle the numbers. Because Clark is in the building, franchise attendance records are being set. According to Stephen A. Smith, Clark is effectively supporting the league as a whole. She is enriching the players who are severely fouling her and disparaging her in the media. This is not a sustainable dynamic. Why should she sign a CBA that divides profits equally across those who provide different amounts of value? The negotiations will become heated at this point. When everyone contributes, the concept of an income split is effective. However, at this moment, Clark is carrying the burden of 12 teams. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is currently in a difficult situation, and her recent public gaffes haven't made things any easier. Recall the interview in which she was questioned about the hatred and racism directed at athletes. Rather of adopting a strong moral position, she shifted to discussing corporate sponsorships and the benefits of rivalries for business. The league appeared callous and alienated the players' union as a result of the PR catastrophe. The players chose not to participate in the CBA precisely because of this lack of leadership. The guy at the top is not trusted by them. Why would Clark entrust the commissioner with her financial future if she doesn't trust her to manage the league's social climate? The fact that the guys are disciplined, irate, and led by a rookie with nothing to lose is the shock. This leads us to the rejection. What would happen if Caitlin Clark turned down the WNBA's offer? It appears to be a holdout. It appears that she is either taking a sabbatical or playing only for Unrivaled. The WNBA season is brief. It operates in the summer. The ratings would plummet if Clark were to skip a season in order to make a point. The TV networks would be incensed because they had pledged $2.2 billion. The WNBA was not funded by them. The Caitlin Clark Show was funded by them. The network executives will phone the commissioner and insist that the star appear. Responses. Stephen A. Smith is referring to this kind of leverage. Clark has the potential to cause far more financial harm to the league than to her. She has huge endorsements, including partnerships with Nike and Gatorade. For her, the WNBA wage is pocket change. She is not playing for rent money, but rather for her legacy. Additionally, we must examine the function of the WNBA Players Association, or WNBPA. The leadership and union president Eno Amiki are in a difficult situation. From the superstar to the 12th woman on the bench, they must compete for every player. In actuality, though, they only have leverage because of the superstar. Rumor has it that there is an internal struggle between the new generation and the old guard, who desire equality, a scenario in which the value of one player exceeds that of the others put together. Clark may completely disassociate herself from the union if it tries to coerce her into a terrible contract in order to split the wealth. In the NBA, where stars have their own gravity, we have witnessed this. Clark's side is probably advocating for a supermax contract or a salary cap exception that is significantly higher than what has ever been paid in the league's history. This is the game changer, so let's delve more into the unmatched equity rumor. Ownership is the ultimate goal in professional sports. Michael Jordan's interest in the Jordan brand and subsequent team ownership made him a millionaire, not his Bulls salary. if unrivaled, provides Clark with a. She becomes a partner rather than merely an employee of the league as a whole. As it stands, the WNBA is unable to give her franchise equity. There is a significant structural disadvantage. Stephen A. Smith is aware of this. He is aware that astute investors seek equity. The WNBA Commissioner will lose Clark to the league that can offer her a piece of the pie if she is unable to do so. This is the reason for the panic. They are using rules from the 20th century to conduct a corporate war in the 21st century. We have discussed the financial impact of the mean girl culture. There is such a thing as brand safety. Big businesses like Gatorade and State Farm want their athletes to be in positive surroundings that are supportive. Brands may retreat if the WNBA is still seen as a poisonous, petty place where veterans harass the emerging star. They want to be connected to Clark rather than the drama that surrounds her. In reality, Clark is defending her brand partners by rejecting the present CBA and calling for a better culture. She is advising the league to improve the product if they hope to continue receiving corporate sponsorship funding. Rough birds and hate groups on the internet are detrimental to company. Clark is intelligent enough to understand that. In the 1980s, Stephen A. Smith also made a comparison to the NBA. The NBA was having trouble before Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. On tape delay, the finals were broadcast. It wasn't an international juggernaut. They were treated like royalty when those two players saved the league. According to SAS, the WNBA is in its 1980s. Despite having a savior, they are treating her like a burden. The wedge is being driven by a failure to accept this truth. Without admitting that Clark is the one providing the success, the commissioner appears to want it. It is not possible to have it both ways. The checks she writes while acting like a beginner cannot be cashed. Additionally, the talks are probably going to include topics like pension plans, maternity leave, as well as post-career medical care. The seasoned players have battled for these rights for many years. Ironically, the veterans must be prepared to follow Clark's lead if she is to finally secure funding for these initiatives. The owners will divide and conquer if the players don't band together in support of Clark and the animosity persists. Stephen A. Smith has issued a warning over this. He claimed that the players would lose the greatest chance of their lives if they allowed jealousy to impair their judgment. If the other players don't try to trip her while she's holding the ram, Clark, the battering ram, will be able to open the door to increased earnings for everyone. Additionally, we must think about the expansion teams. Teams are being added to the WNBA in Portland, Toronto, and San Francisco. To enter the league, these new ownership groups had to pay record fees. Why? Since they are placing a wager on the growth curve that Clark initiated. These franchise valuations plummet if Clark rejects the CBA or quits the league. Commissioner Engelberg is probably under pressure to complete this transaction at all costs from the new owners of the Golden State Valkyries and the other expansion towns. To watch the ratings fall, they didn't purchase a team. They purchased a team to sell out their arena and host Caitlin Clark once a year. The players are not the only ones putting pressure on the commissioner. It comes from the billionaires who recently bought into the league. The Olympic snub factor is another. Do you recall the time Clark was excluded from the USA squad for the Olympics in Paris? Although the public perceived it as a gatekeeping tactic, the selection committee claimed it was a basketball choice. NBC lost millions of viewers as a result of that choice, which also probably hampered the expansion of the women's sport internationally. It was a pivotal moment. It demonstrated to Clark that the establishment did not support her. Why would she get into a long-term CBA with the same organization that turned her down for a gold medal? That rejection could have been the final straw. It demonstrated how detached the basketball experts in charge of the presentation were from reality. Now, that disrespect during contract negotiations is going to be expensive for them. What comes next? There is not much time left. Although the current CBA has a little longer duration, the opt-out indicates that time is of the essence. There will probably be a media battle. There will be rumors about avaricious athletes or tone-deaf proprietors, but Stephen A. Smith has already set the scene. Clark is up against the old guard. He has made sure that the public's opinion of the star will not change by placing the tale in this manner. There is no way out for the WNBA. If they attempt to portray Clark as the antagonist, the statistics are too obvious and she is too well-liked. When the commissioner realizes she has run out of spin moves, she is shocked. She must make amends. This impasse has ramifications that go beyond basketball. This case study examines labor relations in the age of influencers. Clark is the archetype of the contemporary athlete creator. She communicates directly with her fans. The league's marketing division is not necessary for her. She is actually needed by the league's marketing division. For conventional sports, this transfer of power is alarming. Executives accustomed to narrative control. The way female players are paid in all sports will alter if Clark prevails in this fight and receives a historic raise, equity, or major concessions. It's a moment that sets precedent. The coaching and officiating add another level to this. The refusal story includes the player's physical security. The WNBA's refereeing has come under fire for being inconsistent and permitting excessive physicality in games, frequently at the expense of talented players like Clark. Better referee training or rule modifications that safeguard offensive talent. Much way the NBA banned hand-checking to enable players like Kobe and Iverson to thrive, might be required by a new CBA. Clark has every right to decline to participate in the game if the league doesn't clean it up. In a league where defenders may body smash you for $76,000 annually, why take a chance on an ACL tear? The details are important, so let's get back to the TV agreement. $2.2 billion in 11 years. That may seem like a lot, but it's not yet NBA money when broken down by team and player. But compared to the prior agreement, which was about $60 million annually, it is a huge increase. The excitement surrounding the 2024 draft class is nearly solely responsible for the increase. The strike is unavoidable if the players believe that the owners are attempting to hoard this new wealth. This wealthy generation is personified by Clark. When she says, "We aren't getting our fair share," the public will pay attention. In essence, Stephen A. Smith is priming the viewers for a confrontation in which the players seek a far bigger piece of the pie. Additionally, Clark's camp is utterly silent. Has not conducted many interviews on this subject. She lets her game speak, and now she's allowing insiders like Saya speak as well. This is a traditional method of negotiating. She keeps the league guessing by being silent. They are unsure of her exact bottom line. Is it cash? Is it secure? Is it fair? Does leadership need to be completely redesigned? The commissioner is going mad over the uncertainty. If they are unaware of her demands, they are unable to devise a strategy to counter her. However, the unwillingness to discuss the existing terms says a lot. Lastly, we must examine the fans. The Caitlin Clark stans are a natural power. They spend money, are vociferous, and are well organized. If the WNBA millions of new customers who have just entered the store are alienated by Clark, these fans don't give a damn about the Detroit Shock or the Houston Comets past. The number 22 is important to them. The commissioner is aware that the league will return to obscurity if she loses these supporters. The notion that the WNBA's expansion is precarious is shocking. It's not yet systemic. It is motivated by stars. And the darkness reappears if poor management causes the star to flicker out. It is now over for the WNBA to have complete control over its players. We are witnessing a hostile takeover of the league's business model, as Stephen A. Smith's confirmation of the turmoil behind the scenes demonstrates. Clark, Caitlin, has the notoriety, power, and backup plans to turn down any offer that doesn't treat her like the legend she is. The commissioner might be as astonished as she wants, but the truth is straightforward. The bricks price simply increased. And someone else will undoubtedly pay it if the WNBA isn't. The rejection is genuine. The fear is warranted. Additionally, the player is wielding the pen for the first time in history. The WNBA's decision to sign the check or watch their future disappear is the only unanswered question.